Hello everyone, and welcome to our series of videos covering the GM op model, focusing on the feature which is part of the work breakdown structure that we use here. The feature, as you'll see, sits between the solution and the story that is delivered by an agile team. Features realize solutions and are a very critical part of the overall work breakdown structure that we will cover today. Within the page within Confluence, you'll find there's a quick summary of the why, who, when, and how for a feature that is available for you. You may also click on the link to the more detailed article where you will see the same who, why is explained in much more detail, as well as getting into some of the how for decomposition and how the tool, your Jira, works. Instead of going through that level of detail within the article, we'll cover a lot of that within a demo. Starting with the why, features, again, per our previous videos, are very critical to tying strategy to execution. They help us form roadmaps of what we want to do and which KPIs and which targets are we going to achieve versus trying to boil the ocean and achieve them all. The when for a feature is also an important factor to cover. Features can be triggered and they can occur or they can come up at any time. But more so, what makes a feature unique is its resolution factor. We do, similar to a story, have a time box for features. We expect features are not taking a lot of time to meet their definition of ready or go through refinement. But really, the focus of a time box is to meet its definition of done. So once a story has or a feature has met its definition of ready, to the time that it meets its definition of done is less than 1 quarter, where we define our quarters as 6 sprints. The final part we'll touch on before going into the demo is the who. Who can create a feature? And that answer is anybody. While product management for a given program or a given product group will be accountable for prioritizing the value and refining or taking the work through refinement or seeing which ones are going to be defined for delivery, that is more product management. But who can create a feature? The answer is anyone, and anyone should create it. Now, moving into the more details of a feature and getting a little bit more interesting, what I have done is I've pulled together a bit of a scenario. So we have this ceremony called OAX or Optimum Automation Experience, and they have an intake and backlog refinement ceremony for their program. As an output of that ceremony, they did a workshop and they came up with some information. And there is an ask to, can you create a feature for this information in the backlog? It does require refinement, but can you please put the initial feature in for us? I'm calling that out because we also want to cover the one of the fields called the requester as we go through. So here you'll see I have Jira open and I'm just clicking on create to open a given feature. I'm creating it in the program called Sandbox, but please make sure you create your features within the appropriate program that you are seeking or expecting delivery of that feature. Bringing up the email, now we'll go through each item. First, the summary, a quick description on what this feature is, in this case, Automation Rules UI, the parent link, which is what solution does this attach to? And we have here OSSPE 171, right? That's a Jira ID for another issue. So we'll paste that in there. Perfect. Work classification. This is a business feature, right? It's a UI based one. It's not architectural and it's definitely not compliance related. The description, providing a good description of what we are trying to include. But again, a summary, something that can be refined in the future. Or it should be actually refined as we go through refinement, I should say. The benefit hypothesis, like what are we hoping to achieve by working on this feature? And we'll touch on this a little bit. Here you'll see is customers with home automation UI will experience increased convenience and satisfaction. That's an NPS type KPI, a customer experience one, leading to higher customer retention. There we go. We have a reduction in churn for automation or this particular service attach. And finally, and potential for new service adoption. Example, security monitoring. This is a good benefit to describe, a little bit hard to measure today because we're talking about future potential. But it is still important to call that out. So anyone building this feature will be, oh, you want to use this someday for security monitoring? I might build this a little bit differently. The next field we're getting into is the leading indicators. And this is really just a list of KPIs that we can monitor to make sure this feature is working, right? Because that should be part of our definition of done of the feature is it achieving the benefits we thought it would? Is it actually improving our retention or reducing our churn when we have the attach? Is it actually increasing the NPS? Maybe even a specific question within the NPS versus the whole score. We need to be checking those things and validating. Now, moving from validating to verifying is the acceptance criteria. And that goes into the very common field called acceptance criteria. And I wanted to make sure that it's clear that's the real big difference between these two fields and this one. This is a verification field, right? This is what we're saying is this is what we hypothesize the customer will want. And as long as they want it to work this way, we will achieve these benefits or these benefits through these KPIs. If the customer doesn't like it or they don't agree with our definition of what this experience should be, when we go to validate it or when the customer validates it, we will see it is not improving the customer experience. So that is again why we use terms like, maybe not here in the tool, but you will see in the email, we use terms like hypothesis. The last thing we talked about, so sprint is not something we want to put in now. Assignee. If you are the assignee, meaning you're the person that is going to be collecting all the additional information to refine this and for this acceptance criteria and this leading indicators and all the description, even the components, to meet the definition of ready, then assign it to yourself. If you're not, please enter the name of the person who would, because they are the ones who are going to be called upon to say, this is a priority, time to refine. And that will be our next video, how to refine this feature once we've completed creation. And here you will see how the feature looks in Jira.